meet my fellow witches and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make a set of meditation beads. I have a lot of trouble quietening my mind when trying to meditate and have found these to be very useful. I had seen these around for a little while and thought, why not make my own? That way I can personalize it to my favorite colors, etc. And I can also focus my intention as I make them and really get in there what I want them to do for me and bless them as I go. So they're very, very simple to make, and I'll run through everything that you need from the equipment to the materials. So first of all, you'll need 2 charms. So for the one I'm making, I've chosen a key and a tree of life charm. You'll need 4 gemstones. I'm using obsidian for this one. The one I used on my one is rose gold dipped hematite because I really need that grounding. So anything that's grounding and protection will work really well with the beads because that's kind of what you're making them for. You'll need a couple of little jump rings just to sort of attach the charm to the tassel bit. You'll need 30 spacer beads, so these ones I had laying around the house for a while, and then obviously the other beads, which is 27 beads, and they are usually, well, these ones I think are 8 or 10 millimeters. You can have them all the same colors or you can mix them up. I've decided to go with a blue, green and white theme for this one. And you'll also need some cording, preferably less than a millimeter. This one will end up, the tassel will be a little bit more fluffy than the one on this one. This is more of like a silk cord, but this is the color that's been selected. It matches with all those other ones. So that aside, these little beads that I've got are just resin beads, and I picked them up. You can get them in all different colors, so you can really design whatever sort of color theme you like. I got them, I think, at one of the cheap shops, not too expensive. Equipment wise, you'll just need a pair of scissors and 2 sort of type plier things for the jump rings at the end. So the first step is you'll need to measure out your cord. To make it easier, this is just a double layer of that, so a double length I should say of that. So that includes the length of the tassel, and I'll explain to why that's important to make sure that it's long enough to include that. For ease of threading the beads, you're kind of going to do them back to front, if that makes sense. So it's up to you whether or not you want to put a knot in the end of it. If you get the similar size beads to what I've got, they tend to hold themselves. Then I recommend getting a little bit of wire and then just doubling it over like that, kind of so that it acts like a needle, and that will just make threading your beads super easy. So the first bead that will go on, because this is the end effect of, this is the end that we're starting on, will be one of your gemstones. And you just thread that on and slide that down. So then it will be a spacer, and then how you want your colours to work. So I'm going to go green, white and blue. As I said, you could do 9 green, 9 white, 9 blue. You don't have to mix them up. It's just, that's how I prefer to do it. So just every time you put a bead on, just remember to put a spacer on. And once you've got 9 on, or whatever your number is, then I add the next gemstone. So that's my first set of 9. So what I'll do is I'll finish off putting them on and I'll bring you up to the next step. So that's the string all together in the order that I want, starting and ending with a gemstone. So the next thing to do will be to attach the charm for the charm end. So the non-tassel end. So for mine, that's what I've got, but for this one that I'm doing, I've got a really lovely big key charm. So using your little bit of wire, you just thread that through, then you take that out. You won't need that again. You open up the loop and bring it all the way through, and then that will secure it on the end like that. If you do want to doubly make sure that it's okay, then you can knot it if you want, but you'll find that once they all move down, that pretty much secures it in place anyway. So as you can see, the beads don't slide around very easily. You've got to actually force them so they won't move. So that's the charm end done. So for the tassel, you need to find a bit of card or cut a bit of card that's double the length of what you want your tassel to be. So for instance, as you can see, that's twice as long as the tassel that I have on my one. And just like when you're making pom-poms, you just start and then just wrap this around. I usually go about 15 times, 15 to 20 times depending on the cord. So 3. Alright. So then you slide it off the card. Doesn't matter if it's all twisty. Cut it off. And there you've got part of your tassel. So then you take your end where your beads are and you knot it just to hold the beads in place. You can do 1 or 2 if you want, but that will secure the beads, and that's just a normal knot. And then you grab your tassel about the midway mark, and you knot it. So before you tighten it, make sure it's exactly where you want it. So that's halfway. Then you give it a good tighten. Try and make sure that when you do the knot, it's in the middle. Oh. The next bit is to grab another length, say about 30 centimeters of it, and you're actually going to create the rest of your tassels. Okay, so this is probably the most trickiest bit, is just tying and securing the tassel, or making it look like a tassel. So you get your piece of string and you make sure that the ends go below where your tassel is. Then you do a big loop up the top like that, and then kind of need to hold it at the same time there with your thumb, and then what you do is you just put it around. Don't pull too hard the first couple of times around, because otherwise you'll pull it out. But then once you get it nice, you can pull it a lot tighter and then bring it up to where you want your tassel to end, up the top. So if you think that's a thick enough band for you. So also, once you get to that point, you use very gently pull that up so that brings the bottom part up, and then once you've done as around as many times as you want, you thread that through the loop, and then you pull. You just keep gently pulling like that, top and bottom, and then when you get to this point, you just pull it, and that will pull the knot underneath the tassel, so you won't see the knot, and it looks nice and neat. And then just with this bit, you just cut it close to the thing, and there you go. So you've got a nice secure tassel. So then the next part is to go through and cut all the loops. The next bit is to trim up your tassel so that all the ends are the same. So there you go, you've got your little tassel on the end of your beads. So the last part is attaching the charm on the end, and while this isn't difficult, it does get a little bit fiddly because what you're trying to do is you want it to lie like that. So to have it do that, you need to put 2 jump rings on. So, and because they are the small jump rings, sometimes they can be a bit difficult to work with. And then the next jump ring, I will actually hook through the tassel. So on my one, I've hooked it up just so that it's secure. I've hooked it in through this section of it rather than onto the band, because it can potentially loosen the band, I guess. So I've hooked it up in through there, and I've used I've hooked it onto the string that's actually links it all the way through. And there you have your set of meditation beads. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video on making your own meditation beads. I'll leave a list in the description below, just so you know what I used if you want to make one for yourself or for a gift for somebody. I have some other craft videos planned, hoping to get them out, but I'd love to hear what you'd like to see crafted, so leave a comment below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you like the channel, I'd love you to subscribe. So until the next one, merry part and merry meet again.